Hello everybody, it's Rachel here at Clarty Hands Crafts. Today I'm going to be decorating the front of this Christmas journal, which so far has been covered in this snowflake fabric from the Little Quilt Shop. I've chosen to use a journaling card from the Supplier Traditional Christmas collection to use as the focal point because it goes beautifully with the theme of the journal. And I mounted the journal card on some gold Centura Pearl card. Centura Pearl is white on the background, and that's why I decided to ink around those edges as well. Now I'm just cutting down a piece of Hessian cloth. I don't actually think this is counted as Hessian, I think it is. It was called jute when I was purchasing it, and it's just a little bit of a smaller weave. So I've cut that down to size roughly around the frame. And I needed to make it smaller than the journal but bigger than the gold frame. I saved all of those scraps as well, if you're wondering, and they will be going into my fabric bin so that they can be used at a later date for something else. So you can see I've done it very roughly there, but then what I wanted was a frayed edge, so I just pulled some of the strands from the edge, trying to keep it quite even, but also I wanted it to look raggedy, if you get what I mean. So it was scruffy on purpose. So I pulled some threads and then that gave that nice tasseled edge. And I think the reason that the Hessian worked so well with this theme is that it's reminiscent of Santa's sack. It took a bit of adjustment to get it right, but with a few pulls here and there and then some trimming as well, I eventually ended up with a piece that I thought worked well with the focal point. So once I got it to the right size, it was time to test out and see what it looks like. It can get a little bit tricky because the Hessian can move around. With it being such an open weave, it can move around quite easily. So I was just spreading it out to test what it would look like when it was flattened properly. So now I'm trying to find the centre point of the cover. And this will be used to make a hole which I can then thread through some ribbon to be a tie closure for this journal. So I've just measured to where it should be, take the signatures out, which have just been resting in there for now, and then I'm going to punch a hole at the centre point, just leaving a small gap between the edge of the journal and the hole. Then I've marked another hole on the opposite side of the cover, and I did that just by poking the pencil through the original hole. That'll just mean that one is directly on top of the other. And then I had this gold sparkly ribbon. I did originally want something a bit thicker to make the tie closure, but when I tested all of the things that I had, I decided that this one was the most festive and it went with the theme a lot better than any of the others, so I settled for something a bit narrower. I threaded the ribbon into one hole on the front, stretched it right round the back, and then threaded it through the hole on the opposite side as well, so the ribbon itself is moving along the back of the cover. So it's important to get it twisted the right way so that it lies flat. And then once that's on, I'm just going to add the focal point over the top of it, and that will hold the ribbon in place to an extent as well. We don't need it to be completely stuck down, there's no need for that really. If we stick the focal point over the top of the ribbon, then it'll just kind of tack it in place for as much as we need it to be. Because I'm using tacky glue, I'm adding plenty of it, but you should probably use a fabric glue of some kind if you find that works better. So be careful when you're using this on Hessian because the open weave means that the glue can poke through quite easily. So you want to give it plenty of drying time before putting anything over the top, unless whatever you're putting over the top is getting glued straight on, like I am here. But what I'm saying is don't rest anything over because it will get stuck. That needs to be pressed down really firmly and I would recommend clamping it underneath something like a pile of books or whatever you've got, and that will just make sure that it sticks really well. The inside cover has been lined with plain red paper, and I just wanted to jazz it up a bit by adding a pocket. I like to have pockets in the front covers, on the inside covers rather, because that's where I keep, when I'm using my own personal journal, that's where I like to keep all of the spare tags and things, so that I can always pull out a journaling spot or somewhere to put a photograph easily. So I'm making a pocket just by wrapping around the bottom and side edges of one piece of paper onto another, which is the right kind of size for the tags that I'm going to be using. So I just fold those creases and then snip the corners off at diagonal. Give them a good smooth over with a bone folder, especially if you're using card, just to make sure that it doesn't try and ping open while the glue is drying. Probably guessed that I am searching for my my circle punch, and I'm going to snip a little finger hole out of that and then give it some ink all around the edge. It's best to diagonalize, is that a word, the corners of the flaps, because then they don't show through from the back, especially if it's a different colour like this stark white that's in the back of this piece of card. I decided to add that pocket to the inside of the front cover rather than the back, because then you would immediately know that there are some spare tags to be used. And just stuck that down with tacky glue, and again you would need to weigh it down with something heavy just to make sure that it doesn't spring open while the glue is drying. I gathered some tags and things straight away to pop inside that pocket, and already it looks more exciting. So there we go, that's the finished cover. It's got a nice ribbon tie, a focal point on the front, and then an inside pocket. I hope you enjoyed today's video. I enjoyed making it, and I love the way that this journal is heading, and I think I might sell it eventually. So thank you very much for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.